The 92nd will advance. Gleason, McLaren!
Bagpipes and War. The Scottish use of bagpipes in war dates back to at least the mid-18th century during the Jacobite Rising of 1745, when Scottish pipers played their pipes to keep men focused as they marched into battle. However, there are many legends of bagpipes being used in battle in Scotland dating back to the 14th century. It was also around the 14th century that Scotland began developing its own bagpipes, which would become iconic for the nation. Bagpipes of various types have existed throughout Europe, from Russia to Portugal to Ireland, but it was the Scottish with their great Highland bagpipes, which are so recognizable today, that would make the instrument famous and iconic to their culture. This style of pipes likely took their final form in the 18th century. Bagpipes have further become iconic with their many creative uses in the movies. They can be comical, yet they are beautiful, distinct, and an inspiring instrument. There is no reason to believe that in the future they won't be just as celebrated. One movie that gets bagpipes wrong is Braveheart, set in the late 13th century before bagpipes took on any cultural significance in Scotland. There's also a reference in the film to bagpipes being outlawed, a reference to the 1746 Act of Prescription, which sought to disarm the Highlands. Though the Act of Prescription didn't specifically state bagpipes were to be considered a weapon of war, one bagpiper, James Reed, was charged for being a piper. Reed was captured at the Battle of Culloden. He was put on trial for treason and deemed a combatant at the battle for fighting against the Crown, the reasoning being that Highland regiments never marched without a piper, and therefore Reed's bagpipes, in the eyes of the law, was deemed an instrument of war. This instrument of war would become widely adopted by British forces shortly thereafter. Highland regiments would take on a more global role starting in North America in the mid-18th century, with the 7 Years' War. Highland regiments would gain further notoriety in the Napoleonic Wars. Pipers became known for being a great morale boost before a charge, or for having the ability to rally men in the face of a rout. During the Victorian era, Scottish culture became more celebrated in Britain. Queen Victoria had a particular fondness for Scotland, and Lowland regiments adopted regimental tartans, and bagpipes became all the more common. World War I had the most profound and tragic use of bagpipes in battle. About 2,500 pipers served in the war from all over Britain and the Commonwealth. An estimated 500 were killed, another 600 were wounded. Pipers played in the trenches to boost morale, and they could also be used to send signals. The sounds of bagpipes can be heard up to 10 miles away. This also meant pipers could play to intimidate the enemy. Pipers didn't just play in the trenches, they crossed the trenches to inspire their comrades. One piper, Daniel Laidlaw of the 7th King's Own Scottish Borderers, was awarded the Victoria Cross when in 1915 he mounted the parapet of his trench. The men were about to go over the top, but their morale was at rock bottom after experiencing heavy shell fire and a gas attack. He marched up and down the length of the trench despite the danger, playing All the Blue Bonnets over the border. He rallied the men and marched with them into harm's way, while he continued piping before being wounded. Bagpipes would continue to be used in battle during World War II, up until the Battle of El Alamein in 1942, when losses became unacceptable amongst pipers. After this battle, the use of bagpipes was banned from the front line. The Imperial General Staff put out an edict stating that pipes were not to be played in battle. However, that didn't entirely stop the tradition. One commanding officer, Lord Lovett, commander of the 1st Special Service Brigade, brought a piper with him to the landings in France on D-Day. When reminded of the new order prohibiting pipes in combat, he stated, "Yes, but we're Scotsmen, so that rule doesn't apply to us." The piper from The Longest Day is a tribute to Lovett's piper, Bill Millen, who played for his men under fire. Here is testimony as to one way he survived.
Well, I was at the head of the brigade, and Going along the main roads here, there's quite a lot of sniper fire. Many of the commanders were killed, many wounded, and luckily enough I was never hit. But we did capture some Germans later, and through an interpreter, one was asked why didn't they shoot at the piper making all that noise and being up front, and the German looked rather strangely at the officer and said he thought he was a bit dummkopf. But I was treating that he meant it in a nice way.
Today, bagpipes remain a strong and even growing tradition around the world, blending with other cultures and pop culture. Bagpipes are particularly popular with police and fire departments. In New York, for example, the Emerald Society blends Scottish and Irish traditions, which works well given the state's history of migrants from both countries. Furthermore, the Irish have a significant and overshadowed history of bagpipe use, similar to that of Scotland. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching and listening to me blow some hot air for a few minutes. Bad pun? Guilty as charged. Well, do take care and have a nice rest of your day, laddie.
I suppose we all have to pay the piper sometime, right, Q?
Oh, pipe down, 007.